some eggs, and so I actually saw some eggs in these cells. You can kind of see a larva right there, the kind of noodle looking thing. That's one of the larvae there. Probably looks pretty big. I almost think it's a drone, but it may not be. But if you can't find the queen, a lot of beginner beekeepers can't find the queen, and I sometimes struggle with that myself. What you can do is just find the signs that she was there. It's not as good as finding the queen, but it works okay. What you're basically doing in that case is you find the drones, or the eggs and the larva, which then you know that the queen has been there within the last 1 to 3 days. I almost want to put this one in the opposite side so they kind of build that up, but I don't think I really need to. I think I want them to build up top too, so I'm just going to set this back inside gently. Tell there's a little bit few bees that are a little upset with me. I don't think anyone's tried to sting me yet, but you can tell they're not very happy with me. They're kind of bouncing off of me and stuff, trying to get me to go away. But which is okay, because we're done with this hive now that we've seen what we needed to see. So we're kind of putting this back together, and okay. Let's put this top box back on, and we're going to move on to one of our other hives where we need to check and make sure we can find the queen, or at least evidence of her being there. This hive I wasn't too worried about. We've had a queen in here that was doing well. There's always something that can happen where the bee or the queen has an issue or something, and she kind of goes away or dies or leaves the hive, or something happens to her. So it's always good to check every week or two. You also want to see if it looks like the hive is going to swarm or something, but these bees have plenty of room, so they shouldn't really be planning on swarming. It could happen, obviously, but likelihood of that is a little bit lower. They'll still probably do it, but let me try to get these guys away. I smushed the bees, so they're over here with this guy. Okay, so let's put this top back on. I'll check in with chat. Did I put this on backwards? I did. Put this box on backwards. It should be this way. This is an entrance right here in the front. So I want to keep that towards the front here. Okay, here we go. Let's put this back on. And that'll be it for this colony here. A little bee that's just kind of checking me out. Try to get her back onto the hive. Onto the hive tool. And back into the hive. There you go. Okay. Hey, thanks for the host. White dots. Yeah, they're really tiny. Look like a little grain of rice almost, but really tiny. Hey, Scallop, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Sal, some people say that they do. Thanks, Sniper. I appreciate that. You kind of want bees that have a long line of being domesticated. And so you're always kind of wanting to work with bees that are naturally more used to working with people and all that. And so you're looking for certain breeds that are gentler than others, sometimes, or you can pick the type of bee species you want, or variety, I guess, or whatever. There's Russian bees, there's Italian bees, there's bees that are more hygienic than other bees. And there's all different types of habits you can look for when selecting what kind of bees you want to have. I got my bees from an apiary, so they were just kind of specifically what the apiary had. And Scott asked about the queen excluder, and we'll put the queen excluder on when we have honey that we are trying to harvest, which you guys will see in this next frame that we're going to go look at, or next hive. We have a queen excluder on, and the queen excluder keeps the queen from going up into our honey supers, because she'll lay eggs in any available space that she can find. Now she has a way that she prefers, but you know, if you don't use a queen excluder, you can kind of end up with brood in areas that you don't really want, because you know, she'll just kind of do her thing, and then you'll end up with brood everywhere. We're looking to avoid that. We want to have just honey. So this is the orange boxes there on top are the ones that have honey in them. At least that's what we're hoping. And so the bees will be hopefully putting honey up in there, so we can have some honey to collect here. So we're going to find out what we have going on in here. Oh, okay, cool. Homeschooling. Yeah, Scott, that colony is looking okay. It's just not really expanding the way I want it to, but that's okay. I mean, they'll move up. They're starting to move up into that box. It's just taking them a very long time. They should have kind of already been up there. So welcome Deeren. Deeren's another streamer. She does World of Tanks. She's a lot of fun to watch. So we can give her a shout out. It'd be great. And we also have Scott in here, which does some RL streams, kind of making guillotines, and not guillotines, ghillie suits for airsoft, and also does some talks of like kind of unsolved mysteries, or just research topics like Vikings or something, or UFOs, or you know, all different sorts of things. So the good news is I'm pulling this off, and I'm seeing some more activity up here. So hopefully the bees are busy in here, kind of engaging this hive with the honey super that's up here and loading us up with honey. We're about to find out. The other thing we have to check in this hive is to see about the queen. So we had purchased a queen because I wanted to get this hive continually going strong. I didn't want to wait to try to pull my own queens. And so we put her in here, and hopefully she was accepted by the colony. That was a few weeks ago. So we're going to find that out. Still have some beetles in here. Not as, well, yeah, probably still just as many. So I'm going to brush this off, but you guys can see these beetles that we have kind of running around in here. And hive beetles are not really good for the hives. They can cause some issues. They can bring diseases and stuff in there, and they weaken the hive overall. So the hive is quite resilient to diseases and parasites and all that kind of stuff. And if you have a strong hive, you know, usually they can handle these things pretty well and self-manage. But if your hive is weak for something, like you have a lot of mites in the hive that are spreading disease or something, then it can kind of weaken your hive. And you can end up having a hive that collapses for various reasons. So we're trying our best to help these guys out with these beetles by installing some equipment on the hives that make it more difficult for the beetles to get in. And I think over time we're starting to see it work, but this one actually doesn't have the bottom that it needs. I still have to repaint one. to put on. But the other two colonies do have the correct bottom. And hive beetles are just something you kind of get in Florida. Up north, if you see a whole bunch of hive beetles, it's like a big deal, really bad problem. But here in the south, we kind of just end up with them a bunch. So a new JLo 2, yeah. So hopefully we'll see some activity up here with the honey, and then we'll get down into the bottom where we can see some activity from the queen. So right away, I'm not really seeing a lot of promising activity here. There's a little bit, but I think that may be just left from what we did previously, not necessarily anything new. So again, these outside frames typically might be empty. Maybe you'll get one or two frames, maybe the second frame in